Item Number: SCP-9039. Level 3 Confidential. Containment Class: Euclid. Disruption Class: Keneq. Risk Class: Caution. Special Containment Procedures. Foundation web crawlers are to search the internet for websites hosting instances of SCP-9039 and documentation of SCP-9039 related content. A DDoS, Distributed Denial of Service, attack shall be used to target said websites before Foundation personnel can take down the offending content. All members of the public who perceive auditory content from SCP-9039 are to be housed in a standard humanoid containment cell over the course of a 2-week period. Class B amnestics and a psychological evaluation will then be administered to the witness before they are cleared for return to society. Concerning murders related to SCP-9039, Foundation front companies are to publish newspapers corroborating an appropriate cover story. Personnel with a background or interest in criminology are forbidden from SCP-9039 related assignments, with the exception of testing purposes. Description: SCP-9039 refers to a true crime podcast, colloquially referred to as a perfect crime podcast, which covers murders while adding an often inaccurate paranormal twinge. Episodes of a perfect crime podcast have been discovered on numerous websites, with the majority of sightings being on the Parawatch wiki forums. See Addendum 1. Attempts to trace the IP address of the podcast host have so far been unsuccessful. There is little information available on the host, if such a host even exists, apart from the fact that they are female, and have been spotted under the online alias A Perfect Podcast, and variations of such. SCP-9039 exhibits a cognito-hazardous property where certain listeners of the podcast will be marked as targets for murder, and end up dying in a homicide in the following 2-week period. There is no known way to tell if a listener has been marked as a target for murder, but victims of SCP-9039 have been shown to follow these parameters in most cases. Between 15 and 40 years of age. Has an interest in true crime-related content. Has regularly consumed true crime content over a time period of at least 1 year. Is a believer in the paranormal. Following the target's murder, a new episode of SCP-9039 covering their murder will subsequently be posted. Any attempts to prevent the murder of SCP-9039 targets have so far resulted in failure. SCP-9039 first came to the attention of the Foundation following the detection of a thread in the Parawatch wiki forums, promoting an episode of a perfect crime podcast. The vast majority of replies in the thread consisted of users recounting their experiences with the podcast, as an attempt to warn others. Following this discovery and a subsequent verification of % of accounts, the Special Containment Procedures of SCP-9039 were established. Test Log. In order to determine the time frame in which SCP-9039 is able to cause its targets to be murdered, a test involving Class D personnel was conducted. Foundation personnel were instructed not to intervene in any event that resulted in the murder of these test subjects, unless it posed immediate danger to other personnel. After being subjected to an episode of SCP-9039, test subjects were led into a shared containment chamber. Within the first 5 days of containment, 2 of the Class D personnel killed each other during an altercation. On the 12th day, Site sustained a containment breach, which damaged their containment cell. One of the remaining test subjects escaped before being killed by an escaped anomaly. The 2 remaining D-Class personnel survived for another 16 days, before being subjected to another episode of SCP-9039. Subsequent tests were conducted before the 2-week time period was determined. Following the first 3 murders of Class D personnel, an episode of SCP-9039 was posted detailing the case. A forensic analysis of an audio transcript concluded the information contained within the episode was mostly accurate, but contained exaggerated elements. The episode accurately described the life of each D-Class personnel before their time at the Foundation, described how the containment breach began, and in the case of the 3rd murder, correctly identified the anomaly as the culprit. Exaggerated information was exhibited during certain sections that described the Class D personnel's personal life. at multiple points mentioning unverified supernatural experiences they had experienced, which might have led them to their life of criminal pursuits. This episode was discovered in another Parawatch thread, which was swiftly taken down by Foundation web crawlers after a single recorded visit. As per containment protocol, the witness was taken to a standard humanoid containment cell to be kept for a 2-week period. Over that period of time, there were 3 known attempts on the witness's life, by either D-Class personnel or Foundation staff. The third and final attempt was conducted by Dr. as he prepared the amnestic for the witness's release. Before being able to administer this, Dr. seemed to enter a state of rage, breaking into the witness's cell and strangling them to death with his bare hands. Resuscitation attempts post-incident were unsuccessful. Dr. was captured and interviewed following the incident, but reported no memory of the event. Addendum 1. An abridged list of known episodes of A Perfect Crime podcast. An extended list and audio transcripts can be requested from SCP-9039 head researcher, Dr. Squirrel. Episode number 1. Episode contents. Recounts the murder of a Japanese schoolgirl in the Tokyo prefecture by her classmates. Covers urban legends that sprung up surrounding the girl following her murder, and the cult following the murderer gained in the true crime community. Source: Parawatch Wiki. Episode number 8. Recounts an unsolved 1967 murder case from Toronto, Ontario. Source: Parawatch Wiki. Episode 51. Recounts a 1992 massacre in Montreal, Quebec. Source: Parawatch Wiki. Episode 278. Recounts the story of a Chinese thief who escaped from jail and committed 7 murders while on the run. Source: Billy. Episode 359. Recounts the story of a murderer who broke into 2 homes at night and then murdered 2 inhabitants by gunshot. Source: YouTube. Episode 402. Covers various university-related murders and massacres. Source: Parawatch Wiki. Episode 463. Recounts the murders of Class D personnel during a Foundation containment breach by an anomaly. Also covers the criminal life of the Class D personnel before their time at the Foundation. Source: YouTube. Addendum 2. An excerpt of a thread on the Parawatch Wiki, by the host of A Perfect Crime podcast.
A Perfect Crime podcast, episode 402. Anyone else notice the sudden spike in university murders? Well, I have. That's why this episode is all about university murders. This episode covers the 1980s Georgia University serial killer, the 1970s Ambrosia College mass killing, January Storm Coast University mass poison death outbreak, August Woodside University shooting, and last week's San Antonio University murder. I know those poisonings allegedly had no perpetrator and were all an accident, but no one is buying that, right? Those deaths were way too suspicious to be an accident.
Footnote 1. In this context, the repeated spamming of W's is a Japanese slang term similar to LOL.
It has to be a cover-up. It had to be a Kakuran no Mushi, or maybe a vengeful spirit. Well, IDK.
Footnote 2. Kakuran no Mushi, a parasitic yokai, believed to live in the stomach and cause symptoms similar to food poisoning.
If you value your life, don't listen to this podcast and block the OP. I'm not sure what it has going on, but I guarantee there's some supernatural aspect going on with it. Me and 4 of my friends were students at Storm Coast University, and one day we were hanging out and decided to listen to the podcast. I didn't really care for it, but all 4 of them loved true crime content, so I went along with it anyways. We kept making fun of the podcast because we thought the host was annoying and all the stories sounded over-exaggerated. I guess whatever the host is took offense to that, because 3 of them died during the poison death outbreak, and another one got shot in a dark alley.
I second what the poster on the top said. Me and my friends had a similar experience while we listened to this podcast on a voice call. They both randomly went quiet after the episode ended, and the next day on the news, I saw that a man broke into their houses and shot them in the head.
Well, I've heard countless horror stories about this podcast, but I thought it was just an urban legend. I'm being tempted to click on that link, but I'm scared to click on it.
Are you illiterate? Don't click the link.
Okay, chill, bro. I won't click it.
This podcast still posts? I swear the OP got banned last time they made a thread. I recall they got into an argument with another user who was talking about how their girlfriend was murdered after listening to the podcast. The thread eventually got pretty heated, and the OP started making threats to the other user and asking them stuff like if they wanted to join their girlfriend. Kept going on like that for a while until the thread got locked, and the OP got banned. Think the other guy got a 2-week suspension, but pretty sure he didn't keep posting after he got unbanned.
This podcast's been around the watch for a while now. The OP doesn't really post, apart from posting episode threads and attempts to defend themselves in their own threads. Mods always ban them, but they somehow come back every time. Like everyone else said, take it from a really old user, don't listen to the podcast. Every few weeks or so, this podcast posts a thread, and it goes the same way every single time. Everyone in the comments shares stories about how random people died after listening to the podcast, some real and some faked for attention. Then eventually, some naive newbie listens to the podcast and proceeds to trash talk everyone for being wusses before they abruptly stop posting and become the main topic of discussion in the next thread.
This again? No, this podcast isn't haunted. No, this podcast isn't an evil ploy to murder its listeners. Dealing with this thread after thread pisses me off. My podcast is simply meant to give the true crime community what they deserve. I know this is a paranormal forum, but you all don't have to try shoving paranormal stuff into everything. Listen to my podcast if you want paranormal stuff. Also, I have never been banned from Parawatch. My threads just get deleted, unjustly, and what I said about that guy and his girlfriend was a joke. The true crime community just gets me heated sometimes. Actually, a lot of the time.
Thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to all my patrons, especially my level 5 patron, Inkbound Scholar. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon to gain early access to videos, the ability to vote on what videos I make next, along with numerous other Patreon benefits.